So, Table Cape, you can see across there, across the paddocks, the old remnants of the bulbs. It's a big tulip farm off to the left. And when we get out of the car, we'll have a view across to Wynyard and down to Burnie. But we're heading towards that lighthouse. And as you can see behind us, there's a communications tower. We have a bit of a lookout. Unfortunately, it's one of the see-through ones, but there's not too much of a drop. You can see the coastline there, Burnie and Somerset and round to Wynyard. Wynyard spreads over quite a distance. We're heading west to the Table Cape Lighthouse. Doesn't seem that far, it's not that far really, but it's an interesting walk. There's some steep sections. There's also steps, so there's not really wheelchair safe. As with all this region, a lot of interesting geology going on, upwelling of old volcanoes and whatnot. Plus it's also a big tulip area. Basically from the basalt soil, as you can see, there's a browny reddish tinge to everything. And that's coming from the soil. We'll have a closer look when we get a profile. And off we go. Set of oddly spaced steps, so be careful, and definitely not for the wheelchair users. Although coming from the other side you probably could, but there's some steep sections for going back up that way. There's a little bit of a soil profile there for you. It is extremely rich soil. You get taller walking across the paddocks, it's that good. It gets a bit breezy up here, funnily enough, being the highest, flattest point around for a while. And it's just starting to pick up again today. None of the really big winds we had earlier in the week. Wonderful old grandmother tree there. She's a fair age. And quite impressive. And you can see our destination in the distance. I will say there's a bit of a chill to this breeze at the moment. As part of the track you can see more of the staining from the soil across the pathway. Drop off the side there. There's plenty of trees to catch you if you fell, but getting back up could be tricky. Look down through the trees there, that's not the sky, that's Bass Strait down there. Occasionally you get whale spotting across here, but haven't seen any yet. They're very nicely added a fence line on the steep side for people. Another quick look at the lighthouse as we pop up over the ridge. There's a fold between here and the lighthouse where we'll drop down and cover a water course. And once we drop down there we'll be out of the breeze, which will be nice. Another view out across the strait. Definitely early spring with the acacias, colloquially known as wattles, in bloom. As you can see we're just starting to drop down a little, so we'll have the cover of the paddock, the cutting from there. Give us a little bit more protection from this breeze. For context, it's the 23rd of October, so nearly a month into spring, but we're in Tassie, so you never know what you're going to get. Just stand still for a minute and see if we can catch this bird song. Possibly. Won't say the weather's gotten much warmer out of the breeze, but it's not as cold. Another look at our target. If you see in there underneath the canopy of the trees, I mean, it looks a bit steep, but it is ideal wallaby country, so we might see one a bit further along. Scotch thistle starting to flower. Bit of a weed in these parts, but it only grows on good soil, so more confirmation of this wonderful basalt based soil. And if we were whale spotting, this would be a reasonable spot to be looking from. Clouds are pretty magnificent today. It's always something. And along with the thistles, we have some iris growing up. Very, very pretty little flower. Now starting a decent descent down to the watercourse that divides Table Cape in two, well, not in halves, but definitely into two parts. And with a reasonable view out to the western part of Bass Strait. And the steepness is getting to the point where we're starting to feel it in the quads, and of course the knees. Little paddock there next to us, and across the back you can see where they've ploughed up some of the tulip and other daffodil and other bulbs on the brown soil over there. Fairly steep section going down. I'm not looking forward to the return journey back to the car, but it'll be worth it to get to the lighthouse. Nice bitumen path here, so there must have been some washing out of the gravel paths in the past. That gives you some idea of the steepness. See the foliage and the trees and whatnot as we get closer to the watercourse. And off the bitumen and back onto the gravel and to the little bridge where there may or may not be a troll. You can tell this is a wetter area from all the papery barks that we've seen in Pig Island, down in Latrobe and along the Don River. There's a wider view of them. I've had a little bit of rain, as I say, so much so that we're the only area that didn't have a fire danger rating the other day, and the rest of the state was definitely rated for potential fires. On the other side of the bridge, and the watercourse runs down and drops fairly precipitously into Bass Strait. Now just up here is prime wallaby spotting area, so we will move slowly. You can see through there, they're more of a forest species than the plain species of kangaroo you get on the mainland. Considerably smaller than the reds or grey kangaroos. These ones stand about knee high normally. If that, sometimes they're not much bigger than a domestic cat. And their defence is take off and then freeze. So if we see one, we should be able to catch it when it freezes. But I can't guarantee anything. Just see the little pathway there through the grass clumps. It's the sort of tracks they follow. Just heard a little bit of a thumping as they jump. But they do camouflage in well as well, which makes it difficult. Quite fortunate in this country not to have any rabies here, so that wild animals are not the fearful things they can be in other parts of the world. Now with the sun breaking through, the strait's looking even more magnificent. Path now is definitely heading in the up direction, but we will still keep our eyes and ears out for young wallaby. It's definitely though prime wallaby country. Returning to the rabies question and the safety of the Australian bush, I do get a bit sick of people saying everything here is trying to kill you. We don't have mountain lions, don't have bears, we don't have rabies. As long as you keep your wits about you, you're perfectly safe in the bush. So that means you always take extra supplies, always have plenty of food and water, even if it's a short walk like this, because accidents happen. But really it is one of the safest places in the world. So I do get a bit sick of it being described as trying to kill you. And the drop off down to the ocean is fairly steep there. Stay to the path. A sign, and there's a sign of civilization. A gate. Looking up above the gate is our target. The Table Cape Lighthouse. Some sort of stickers all over it for some reason. They're related to the Tulip Festival, which had the big parade last weekend. Bit of a picnic area here with what appear to be wild sown narcissus, some sort of daffodil by the look of them. And then off to the right of that is our lighthouse. We'll have a bit closer look when we get closer. Still works, even in this era of GPS. Lighthouses are still important as a fallback position, and also just to know that they're there can be a comfort at night. There are no public facilities here other than the picnic tables and the rubbish bins, so you bring your own water. Make sure you've been to the ablutions block before you get out of the car, I guess. Here she is in all her glory. The sun streaming through. So quite an impressive sight. Quite a pleasant sky behind us as well. Recommend this walk for nearly anyone, unless of course you're wheelchair bound, and there's some steep sections you can come in from this side, but it would be difficult unless you had it motorised or some fairly fit young fellas to push up and down. Otherwise, make sure you've got water, always make sure you've got extra food. But we'll just go for a walk, give you an idea of the whole Table Cape area from the lighthouse. So it's a big agricultural area, as you can see. There's quite an interesting little pond, lake, dam behind us with the ducks on it, which is quite pleasant. As we work our way around, you can see the tulip farm in the background. We'll just keep going. You can see the bush and the gate we came up through to get here. And we'll continue on after that fall off your chair moment as the wind blew the tripod over. But we do continue round to the gateway and then back up as we head towards the lighthouse. That's the Table Cape area near the lighthouse.